Hey everyone, it's Sevy. Hanya is our new support who's ready to give us skill points faster than our relics give flat defense and HP rolls. To help you understand what she can offer your teams and how to maximize her utility, this guide will discuss her kit and traces, Eidolons, relic and light cone builds, team synergies, and auto battle behavior. But first, let's take a quick moment to go back in time. Witness the beginnings and ends of countless eras in the game Reverse 1999 as you follow the timekeeper and meet various arcanists across time. Reverse 1999 is also a gacha game, so you can summon characters of different rarities. I personally love the art style and character designs, like this lady named Druvis III. In battle, they're shown as cute sprites with cool attack animations. Combat here is a turn-based strategy system where you can use limited action points to cast their unique incantations or combine and manipulate incantations for even stronger effects. Anyway, Reverse 1999 has just gotten its new version 1.2 called Nightmare at Green Lake. It takes us back to 1971 in a night of pouring rain to play through a thrilling tale of mystery and horror. And of course, it comes with new characters to meet and summon like 6 Stars Jessica and Tooth Fairy, who's got some interesting ways of treating patients. Version 1.2 is also bringing new skins, character stories, events, and rewards for even more summons. Oh, also, they've revealed to players that you can get 14 free summons this version just by logging in. So brave the storm and download Reverse 1999 through the link in the description. Thank you Reverse 1999 for sponsoring. Now let's get back to the video. Hanya is a 4-star physical harmony unit that offers attack, damage bonus, and speed buffs, but more importantly, she's got a specialized skill point generating kit to help stuff your team with skill points and make SP management a whole lot easier. Let's go through her traces to see how she works. Using Hanya's skill targets one enemy to inflict the burden status, and then deals physical damage to them. A burdened enemy needs to receive 2 instances of any combination of basic, skill, or ultimate attacks from any party members in order to trigger the recovery of 1 skill point. Each burden application can get you a maximum of 2 skill points, and you can track how many skill points can still be gained by the dots on Hanya's character HUD. Let's look at this clip to see it in action. Hanya first applies her burden on an enemy, and in fact, the same skill attack already counts towards the trigger. Next is Tingyun, and she's ready to use her basic attack. You can see the icon above the enemy that her basic attack will complete the circle, so executing that totals to 1 skill attack plus 1 basic attack combination, which recovers 1 skill point. Now, there's 1 more skill point recovery trigger left. So if I activate Argenti's ultimate and then use his skill, that's another double combination as well, which results in the final skill point being recovered. Once those triggers are depleted, it's up to Hanya to refresh the burden effect on her next turn. So it depends on your team's attack frequency on how well they can maximize the skill point recovery. If the teammates don't attack enough in one cycle, it's possible that burden will still be active on Hanya's next turn. In such cases, you have the option to either basic attack, which generates a skill point and counts toward the burden trigger but generates less energy, or skill to generate more energy, which consumes a skill point but continues the burden application. Burden offers more than just skill point recovery though. As per Hanya's talent, when an ally's basic attack, skill, or ultimate targets an enemy affected by burden, they will also get a damage bonus buff that lasts for 2 turns. All allies can receive this buff as long as they hit the affected enemy, so that's one way for Hanya to boost your entire team's damage output. Moving on, Hanya's ultimate costs 140 energy and targets 1 ally to give them a huge attack buff and increase their speed by a percentage based on Hanya's current speed. If she has any external speed buffs applied to her, like Asta's ultimate or the messenger set, those are counted towards the calculation of how much speed she shares. Even if her speed gets lowered after she buffs the ally, the speed buff remains the same until it expires. If Hanya herself has the 4-piece messenger set equipped, the 4-piece speed increase applies to her first and is still included in the calculation of shared speed. Of course, be wary if the speed buff might mess up a team turn order you're strictly trying to maintain. As for her technique, using it initiates battle and applies burden on a random enemy. However, since it's random, it might not apply to your preferred target if there are multiple enemies. If another ally also has a better battle initiating technique, then prioritize that instead. Then for Hanya's Ascension abilities, her Ascension 2 lets allies that trigger the skill point recovery get a 10% attack increase for 1 turn, so that's another buff source. Ascension 4 allows you to recover a skill point if you defeat an enemy with 1 remaining burden trigger left. Basically, it means that even if the enemy dies while there's still 1 recoverable skill point, then that ensures you'll get back the skill point. Then, Ascension 6 generates 2 energy to Hanya whenever the SP recovery is triggered, a valuable ability to help her ult recharge time. For her stat bonus traces, Hanya gains a mix of HP, speed, and attack stats. The most important will be the speed traces, of course. Then, prioritize leveling her ult and talent for the buffs. The skill level only increases the damage dealt, so it's lower priority. utility. Leave the basic attack trace alone to save materials. For her rotation and energy recharge, you'll generally want to target a 3 or 4 turn recharge time. Giving her an ERR rope and unlocking her Ascension 6 ability help a lot. Other extra sources of energy, like using an energy generating light cone, getting hit, an energy restoring ally, or whatever other energy sources and buffs are provided, will also help achieve faster recharge times. Here are some sample energy rotations based on different combinations of skill and basic attack usage, ERR, and extra energy sources. As for using her skill and basic attack, you can be aggressive with her skill usage and skill every turn, which does generate more energy. If your allies attack the enemies often enough to use up all the triggers before Hanya's turn, this will still end up being SP positive, and you'll want to refresh it anyway. Or you can alternate between her skill and basic attacks, especially if the team doesn't consume the triggers fast enough and if Hanya is very fast. That guarantees a skill point positive result but generates less energy. Adapt your rotation accordingly to the combat scenario. While Hanya is quite functional at E0, her Eidolons are pretty good and makes her feel more utility-packed. E1 gives Hanya a 15% advance forward effect when an ally affected by her ult defeats an enemy, and this only triggers once per turn. This contributes to cycling Hanya's turns faster. E2 makes Hanya get a 20% speed increase for 1 turn after using her skill. This is a great Eidolon as it helps her share more speed and move faster, and if you're using her in a skill-heavy playstyle, then this will have high or even permanent uptime. E3 increases her skill in basic levels, which has no effect on her buffing utilities. E4 extends her ult duration by 1 turn, which allows for better ult uptime, and even possibly permanent ult uptime if she can consistently recharge her ult fast enough. A very good upgrade for her support utility. E5 increases her ult and talent levels, and E6 increases the damage boost effect of her talent buff by 10%, which means more overall damage for the entire team. Except for her E3, these are all great upgrades to her kit. If you're lucky enough to get them, then it'll make investing in and using her feel better. But as always, be very careful when sniping 4-star copies. If you don't want to risk getting the current 5 stars or rated up 4 stars, there will be more opportunities to get her in future rate up banners or getting lucky in standard pulls. Now let's discuss her relic build, starting with the stats. My first and main recommendation is to go for survival focus stats. Look for defense or HP in your planar sphere and body piece, speed for your feet piece, and ERR for the link rope. For substats, you want to prioritize speed, defense, and HP. Effect resistance rolls can also be helpful, especially if you have no debuff prevention or cleanse supports. This is a safer route as it's more important to ensure she stays alive to support the team. On the other hand, if you think your team's sustain is very reliable, then you can attempt to squeeze more damage from her. You could try using crit, attack, or physical damage boost pieces and giving her more attack, crit, or break effect rolls to get more damage from her skill attacks or physical breaks. But again, only attempt this if you're super confident your team's sustain is built strong enough already, and you can always mix survival and offensive stats to find a good balance for you. For Hanya's relic set, I highly recommend the 4-piece messenger traversing hacker space as her general best build. It boosts her speed and gives your entire team a speed bonus for 1 turn after Hanya uses her ultimate. Again, the set's speed buff is factored into calculating how much speed her ultimate shares. However, if you can't farm a good full set yet, then 2-piece combos can still work. The 2-piece messenger set is preferred for the speed increase, then you can just go either defensive or offensive 2-piece sets, or just any pieces that give the right main stat and substats. As for her planar ornaments, we have a couple of options. The Fleet of the Ageless gives her HP and a team-wide attack bonus at 120 speed. The attack buff is generally useful for most teams, and if she's also supporting a dot team, the attack bonus is preferable over the Broken Keel's crit buff. The new set, Penacony Land of the Dreams, gives 5% ERR and a 10% damage bonus buff to other allies that share the same element as the user. The ERR can help with her energy needs, and this is best utilized when Hanya is supporting physical DPS allies. The Broken Keel set increases the user's effect resistance and gives a team-wide 10% crit damage bonus upon hitting 30% effect resistance to support crit-based teammates. However, since Hanya has no innate effect resistance bonus traces, you'll need to get a remaining 20% effect resistance from Relic substats, which is subject to RNG rolls, or from teammate buffs, which is situational. So see if you can actually hit the effect resistance requirement if you plan to use this set. Lastly, the Spretly Von Whack also gives 5% ERR and advances the user at the start of battle if they have 120 speed, which gives Hanya a huge head start with her SP and energy generation. However, farming this set is inefficient since it shares a world with a very niche Talia set. Ultimately, prioritize farming the world that gives you the most value from both of the planar sets it drops. Moving on to Hanya's light cone options. All 3-star light cones have their own benefits, but I recommend meshing cogs the most. At S5, it gives 8 energy if the user hits an enemy or gets hit, and that extra energy will be extremely helpful to achieve faster recharge times. Even versus 4-star light cones, meshing cogs still has very competitive value while being cheaper to level up, so in many cases, this is a great default light cone to stick with. For 4 stars, we have the following. Memories of the Past is an upgraded meshing cogs for her, though it requires more gacha luck to superimpose. It has higher base stats, provides the same amount of energy when hitting enemies, and also gives extra break effect. If you have this, especially with superimpositions, you can go for this over meshing cogs instead. Carve the Moon, Weave the Clouds is the Battle Pass Harmony light cone, and one of the BP rewards that has very good value. It has high base stats, and all of the randomized team buffs are generally useful. It's not necessarily a big upgrade over other gacha options, but it's a great all-around support light cone. Dance 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 advances your team's actions, which can allow for faster turn cycling, so be mindful how that might also potentially affect any turn order you're trying to maintain. Planetary Rendezvous on Hanya gives your entire team a physical damage boost, so it's only really utilized if she's supporting a physical DPS unit or a mono-physical team. In those cases, it's a convenient damage buff that she gives just by being there. But the battle isn't over is the standard 5-star Harmony light cone. The extra SP recovery can already be overkill with Hanya's kit, and if it's energy you want, then the energy gain of meshing cogs or memories are generally better. Properly utilizing the damage bonus effect to fall on your DPS may not be as feasible too, since that requires precise speed tuning and factoring Hanya's speed buffing ult. So this might not be as synergistic on Hanya, but it's still an okay option if you have it. For team synergies, Hanya has good general use as a damage buffer, since her attack, damage bonus, and speed buffs have a wide variety of application and benefits in many team templates. Most of all, she can offer good value for teams and units that have high SP consumption. Those could be SP-hungry DPS units or supports who can also adopt SP-hungry playstyles. What Hanya uniquely offers is an easier solution to SP management, which is also especially helpful for players who don't want to be bothered with more advanced SP managing strategies. And for teams where she can very easily keep the skill point count high, you can be more aggressive with the team's skill usage when they normally couldn't. If you're already familiar or experienced with creating SP efficient teams, then a specialized skill point generating support like Hanya isn't really necessary to have good skill point management. After all, even before she arrived, we've already adapted to managing SP hungry units by properly utilizing SP positive teammates and rotations. Some DPS units also aren't as SP hungry, so Hanya's SP recovery can already be overkill and just end up creating a surplus of skill points. She's also up against tough competition for a support slot. Other Harmony supports have great utilities as well that can be situationally better, like Tingyun's energy generation or Bronya's advanced forward effect, and Asta's team-wide attack speed buff versus Hanya's single target attack speed buff. Other supports like Pela or Luocha are also very effective SP generators as well. So it's mostly a case of it depends whether or not she's a side grade or upgrade support for certain teams. But all in all, she offers a very good combination of buffs and SP generation and adds a welcome variety to our Harmony roster and team building options. I also wonder if we might be getting even more SP hungry units for Hanya to feed in coming updates. Finally, here are some observations about her auto battle behavior. Hanya will use her skill if there's no enemy currently affected by the burden status or if the previous one has already expired. It's good that it tries to maintain the burden uptime, which leads to consistently having skill point recovery triggers. How fast the team triggers them depends if her allies' auto battle also uses frequent enough attacks. Generally, the teammates will also target the same burdened enemy as they should, but I did notice it's possible for Hanya to apply the burden on one enemy, but then her ally will target another enemy. There might be some combat conditions that result in this happening, which is unfortunate, but in most cases, Hanya and the team should focus fire on the same enemy. If there's still one trigger remaining on Hanya's turn, she still seems to prefer using her skill to refresh burden, whether your team has a lot or low amount of skill points. However, there were some rare cases where she did use a basic attack instead, but I'm not sure what condition prompted her to use it. In this clip, she also strangely reapplied the burden on a boss minion rather than refresh it on the boss itself, maybe because of its HP? I'm not sure. The allies then proceeded to attack everyone else but the one with burden, which I guess is just one of those erratic auto battle behaviors. But all in all, her skill usage behavior is very serviceable. As for her ultimate, she uses it right away and prioritizes your team's damage dealer, so it's pretty much standard expectations, though you might want to watch out for its targeting priority if ever you're using her on a team with 2 DPS units. And that's it for this Hanya guide. Overall, I found her quite straightforward to use, and while not exactly game-changing, she's generally a great buffer that opens different strategies for SP management in various teams. Let me know what you think of her or how you're planning to use her. If this video helped you out, don't forget to leave a like, consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already, and I will see you all soon. Take care!